danced all night. I could have danced all night and still have begged for more. I could have spread my wings and done 1,000 things I've never done before. I'll never know what made it so exciting. Why all at once my heart took flight. I only know when he began to dance with me, I could have danced all
That was sensational. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me and my very special guest. She is one of Broadway's loveliest leading ladies and, of course, one of BroadwayWorld's favorites. You know her from such musicals as South Pacific, Anything Goes, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, Bonnie and Clyde, and Bandstand. And tonight, Friday, November 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, she kicks off her brand new concert called The Paths Not Taken as part of the Radio Free Birdland series produced by Birdland and BroadwayWorld. Please say hello to my dear friend, Laura Osnes.
Hi, Richard. Hi, everybody. So good to see you.
Oh, this is so great. What a beautiful, beautiful clip. That was stunning.
Thank you. So sweet of you. Thank you. I love that song.
First, I want to ask you, how are you and where are you?
I am good. I'm hanging in there. I'm currently in Connecticut. My husband and I have been quarantined here. Most of the time since March, we've been able to travel a little bit, but we have a house here, and we've been so grateful to feel like we have this safe haven just outside the city. How are you?
We're doing well. We're holding New York City down. I mean, this is what we're trying to do here. It's so weird because we're entering our 8th month.
I know. It's wild.
You know, I used to give a number of a day, and now it's like it's moved into a month, and I'm like 8 months. I mean, is it surreal sometimes for you and Nathan? Of course, for people who don't know, she is married to one of the most brilliant photographers, Nathan Johnson, who of course took, I think, both the pictures on these posters on Bandstand and Bonnie and Clyde. Everybody adores Nathan. Is it all surreal for the two of you? I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. It's like we're starting to adapt to whatever this new normal is. And we've gone back to the city. We still have our apartment there, but we're thinking of starting to get a sublet there, or if we should give that place up. But we've gone back there a couple times, and it's so funny to be reminded of like how tiny that kitchen is and how we just have one closet and how we lived for 13 years within that little space. And that was so normal. And I feel like now we've actually gotten used to like suburban living a little bit. And there's something very beautiful about having a car and like going to Costco and like stocking up on all the things. I feel like we've lived a little bit of a normal life. Not normal. It's completely not normal, but like, you know, the non-New York City life a little bit during this time. And there's been something that's just kind of shifted, I think, in everyone's mentality when we've all had time to just kind of stop and pause and not be on the hamster wheel of New York City, 24/7.
I love this new now because, I mean, I know we're just like StreamYarding or whatever else, but I feel as connected to you looking at you now as I would in person because I think it's the new way we have to connect. I mean, right?
I think so. I think everybody's very hungry for connection and hungry to make art. And I love what Birdland is doing and what you're doing and how, we're all finding ways to stay creative and to continue to put art into the world during this time. And it is not the same. I will tell you, it does not feel the same. And even recording, doing this concert for Birdland, like it was so weird not having people there and the energy is so different. I felt like I had to work so hard to like maintain my energy, but it's also so special. We're going to look back on this time capsule of life and be like, we survived that. We went through that and we found a way to keep going in the midst of it.
Yeah, because you've done some really wonderful projects during the pandemic. And I want to start off with this concert, which is tonight, Friday, November 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You kick off your new Birdland concert as part of Radio Free Birdland, which is produced by Birdland and BroadwayWorld. How excited are you?
I'm super excited. This is a concert I haven't done in 4 years. It's called The Paths Not Taken. So there was a lot of prep and remembering like, I have a lot of banter, actually. I talk a lot in this one, and there's a lot of stories about shows and auditions and roles that I almost got to play that I like almost did in my career but didn't. Whether I was in final callbacks and then got beat out for the role, or maybe I had an offer, I had to choose between two things, and so saying yes to something meant saying no to that thing. And it's all songs I'm actually not known for. So it's a really unique kind of behind the scenes, choose your own adventure journey through all of these songs and roles that almost were but weren't, including Eliza in My Fair Lady. So it was really a very kind of special thing to get to revisit and update. And I think it's very timely for this moment, which I tried to bring into, some of the things I talk about, because we all had paths that we couldn't take this year because of COVID. I think a lot of people had things that were canceled, or concerts that didn't happen, or their spring musical that was delayed. And it's how do we learn how to pivot and deal with disappointments and rejection, or, unsuspected twists and turns in the path that comes our way.
See, that's why I've had everybody on since the pandemic began. Cheyenne Jackson kicked this off. And like he had said, I have to go on an hour later because I have to school the kids. I have to put structure back into their life. And it just connects, an artist with the fans that are watching all around the world saying, oh my God, Laura Osnes is going through the exact same thing that I'm going through, just on a different level.
It's true. This is, one of the first like global pandemics. Like every single person was affected by it. And, what's hard is that our industry is going to be some of the last to come back. So I feel like we have definitely felt it the most.
Yeah. Well, I love the concept of this because I had seen your original concert of this, and I cannot wait to see the new one because I know it's been updated and everything else. And I'm like, I used to watch that show and say, oh my God, I could see her doing that. Oh my God, I wish she had done that. It must have been so much fun putting it together for Birdland.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It is super fun. And it's essentially like what I say something at the beginning. I'm like, tonight I get to satisfy the grudges I still hold against all the roles that I didn't get to book. But it's life in this industry. You know what I mean? And I will be the first to say I've had some amazing opportunities in my career, and I'm so grateful for those as well. So I don't do this in like a totally begrudging sense. But it's interesting to see like how one different path could have led to something else, and like how I feel like everything that did happen happened for a reason. And I'm glad those things actually happened and that those other doors closed, because had the other thing happened, then I wouldn't have been able to do this, or, and you realize like that everything kind of happens the way that it's supposed to. And I think, the right doors open at the right time and lead you to the right people that you're supposed to, do life with. And it's really kind of beautiful. And yeah, I get to sing a lot of those songs that I either learned for those auditions or invested in, became super close to, and crossed my fingers for, and then never really got to perform until this concert. So it's really special.
Now you have a wonderful musical director. Is it Fred Layson?
Fred Lasson, yeah.
Oh, Lasson. I'm sorry. See, Lasson, yeah. So where did you two hook up for this?
Okay, I have known Fred for 12 years. I met him in 2008 doing a workshop musical of Pride and Prejudice, which is now called Austin's Pride. It played at the Seattle Fifth Ave a few years ago. And that there's a song from that in the concert because I did one of the first workshops of it. And so that is where I met Fred. We went on to do South Pacific together on Broadway. He was conducting the orchestra. And he also conducted Bandstand. So he was the music director on Bandstand as well. We did an off-Broadway show at the Atlantic Theater Company a few years ago and we've done dozens of concerts. He's my man. He's the best. He's unbelievably talented and just such a great guy. And I was very, very grateful to get to reunite with him for this concert too.
Well, it must have been great because, of course, first of all, what's it like playing Birdland? You played Birdland many times. It's such a glorious room, both of the rooms there.
Yeah, it's so historical. You know what I mean? It's like Birdland jazz. It makes me feel, it makes me feel like a jazz singer. It's a really cool space. And I love Jim Caruso and Johnny, who owns the space, and always love returning to that stage for sure. And now with the new basement space, we recorded this concert in the basement space, and it's so chic and it still feels like it has the history of the Birdland name, but it's like a nice new space, which is really kind of cool.
So what was that day like for you? Because I've had everybody on who's done these, and they were like, it was so weird because some did them early in the pandemic, some had done it a little later, and it was like arriving in empty New York and like with masks on and like, your sheet music and your outfits. What was that day like for you?
Totally. Yeah, I arrived at Birdland with my suitcase, and I have some props in the show. So I have a hat box of props and my suitcase. I brought 4 outfits because I didn't know like lighting wise and what was going to look good on camera. And the thing I was going to wear had a white top, and then they were like, the white is washing you out. So then I changed to something else. And, it's that kind of thing where it's like, you kind of want to be prepared for everything. You don't really know how it's going to go, but it was lovely. I mean, the team was very prepared. And again, I had been in the space before, so I felt comfortable, but it's definitely different because the special thing about cabaret is that the audience is right there and they're a character in your story. They feed you and you get to look them in the eye and they're laughing and they're being charmed or they're crying or whatever. That's what's so rewarding and fruitful about what we do, is getting to affect an audience in a way and bring them in on it. And without that, it definitely feels different as the performer to just be giving and giving and then like receiving nothing back in the moment. So I hope it blesses people wherever they are, from their living rooms, in their homes. I hope they feel it. I hope it transfers. It's still, I can't wait to see it and learn from it. Actually, I feel like we're all going to learn. I'm going to learn a lot from like watching myself in this, if I get the courage to do it, in this medium. It's a whole kind of different thing.
Paolo Schott, your co-star from South Pacific, was on a few weeks ago because he was doing his, and he said, Richard, it was so weird though. You want to hear something at the end, but I said it was like filming an old-fashioned TV special where there wasn't an audience there. Sinatra used to do it, Judy used to do it. They all did it, but it was like it's a whole different mindset where you're used to playing these rooms, and at the end you hear lots of thunderous applause, and then there's crickets.
Absolutely. So I think like the more we do it, the more we'll get used to it. And I think we will have to do this like this for a while. And I think it's awesome. Overall, I think it's awesome. But it just requires a period of adjustment for us performers who enjoy at least a little bit of affirmation after a big note. I can imagine how Paolo, especially with his big, booming, beautiful voice, to just hit this huge note and then have like silence. You're like, oh. And Fred was loving on me, and Jim Caruso was in the back going like this. You know what I mean? So I felt a little bit of that, but it's definitely different. Definitely different.
Yeah. So you have 2 packages. There's a concert ticket, and then there's a very special VIP package you're offering too for your concert. Would you tell our audience?
Yeah. So when I performed at Birdland before, a lot of times I've offered like a meet and greet experience where we can get a photo op after and like toast and have champagne and just get a moment to kind of chat and meet. And so I wanted to do that for this concert as well. And obviously it won't be in person, but we'll get a special pre-show Zoom meet and greet where we'll all be in the Zoom room together and we can get some screenshots. I'm like, bring champagne. We can have a toast. We can have a Q&A. You can ask me questions. And then I also recorded another song. They get 1 piece of extra content.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting, isn't it? It's like, I've talked to so many people who've watched these. They all get dressed up. They sit in their living room. They have a drink or a glass of wine or some champagne. And it's like a night out. It's like going to Birdland, just doing it virtually, watching you.
Good. I think that's important. I think it's like, put something nice on, because when have we done that in this pandemic, and like make an occasion of it. I think it's good for people. So I'm thrilled to hear that. And I think again, people are craving that connection. So I would love to connect with whoever, wants to be a VIP guest that night. Can't wait to meet you all, connect and ask questions or whatever before the concert starts.
So I love it. I love this new series that they're doing because there's a new show on Tuesdays and Thursdays normally, but I think because of election week and everything happening this week, that's why your dates with like Christopher Sieber was on Thursday. I had him here. And of course, you're tonight on Friday. But it's so wonderful because it's 3 cameras, it's state-of-the-art lighting, it's state-of-the-art sound. I mean, it's Jim Caruso, it's Ryan Patternite. I mean, it's all this Gianni's incredible team from Birdland. So tickets are available at BroadwayWorld events and at Birdland, at Radio Free Birdland, and just Google Laura Osnes, Radio Free Birdland. All the places come up. The ticket price come up. I said, they're so inexpensive for the concert alone, and to have a VIP meet and greet with her beforehand and get an extra number.
Yes.
Uh,
That is the cool thing is that, I think a lot of us have been doing concerts like
yeah.
from our living rooms with like minimal technology, no microphone. It was really nice to come into the city, as you said, and like arrive at Birdland, with my mask on, and Fred and I were 6 feet apart, and there was hardly any crew there. But getting to like have a microphone and lighting and like a grand piano live playing with me, not like a pre-recorded thing on my phone, so that it was definitely very special and fulfilling as an artist to get to do that again.
Everybody who I've had on has said the same thing. They said, just so I could get dressed up, stand on a stage and sing. They said it was so emotional for them of just saying a different part that they were like, it meant so much just to them as an artist and a person just to do what you normally do.
Yeah. Which we haven't really gotten to do at all. So I'm so grateful to Birdland and BroadwayWorld for this partnership and the opportunity, for sure.
Oh, it's thrilling. Well, like I said, you've done some other wonderful projects during the pandemic. One of them, which we're all looking forward to, but I've already seen it already, is your new Hallmark movie called One Royal Holiday, which is absolutely sensational. This is one of Hallmark's 40 original Christmas movies. Yours premiered on October 31st. How brilliant for Hallmark to bring so much joy to anybody watching around the world. I mean, we're putting our Christmas tree, we're putting all of our Christmas tree and all of our decorations up like in next week. I just want to do it.
Nice. I know. I think the world needs a little bit of like lightness and joy. And I was, again, so grateful for the opportunity to get to make this movie. We filmed it in July in Connecticut. And there are so many of your Broadway favorites in the movie. I star opposite Aaron Tveit. And I've known him for a while. We've done some concerts together, but never like a full project. So this was just awesome. He's amazing in the movie. I got to reunite with Victoria Clark, who was my fairy godmother in Cinderella. He plays the queen. This is a royal story, right? So Aaron plays the prince. Victoria plays his mom, the queen. And then also Crystal Joy Brown, who is currently Eliza in Hamilton, and Tom McGowan, who was a wizard in Wicked. And so it was 5 of us kind of Broadway alums getting to, when we're out of work in New York City, because Broadway is not happening right now, getting to make this movie. We all just felt so lucky and grateful. And the whole cast and crew quarantined together in Connecticut to make it in July. And I thank you for watching. It really.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was just superb. So you got the phone call. I mean, when that phone call came, what went through your mind? When like, we'd like to offer you this movie. It's going to be filming right away. It's, what went through your mind?
Yeah, I started crying. I honestly started crying because everything was dead. Nothing was happening. I was having anxiety about how I was going to pay for things and what was, it was the most unexpected gift. And I was shocked that like shooting a movie, how are we going to do it? And they're like, well, you're all going to quarantine. And I'm so proud of Hallmark for figuring out how to continue production in the midst of a pandemic, because they have their very loyal fan base that is looking for those holiday movies. And Hallmark figured it out starting in the summer. We were one of the first productions on the East Coast to go back to production as far as TV film stuff. So I felt so honored to be a part of it.
I love it. Did you all quarantine in the same house or in the same complex?
Yeah, so the movie takes place at an inn, and we actually all stayed at the inn. And there was another inn down the street. It actually, we filmed at 2 different inns. There's an inn and a mansion, and it's pieced together to be one building in the movie, essentially. But we were housed at those 2 locations.
That must have been great. You're all Broadway people.
Totally. Yeah, it was awesome. It felt like summer camp. And we got tested for COVID like every few days and got our temperatures taken every morning, and, figuring out in the midst of this thing how to go on. And after 2 weeks, for sure, we had to have a negative test before we even set foot on location. And after 2 weeks, it was like, oh, like we've created our own bubble here, so we started to be able to kind of be a little more normal. And it just felt so good. It was the jolt of human connection and also creativity in what we do. We got to act, and then we got to do such fun things. There's like castles and carriage rides and drinking hot chocolate and lighting candles and wrapping presents and decorating trees. And it was so festive and joyful.
And they paid you for it.
I know. Like, what a gift, right? Unbelievable. And now we have a movie to show for it that we got to make in the midst of it all. So
I thought, what a fun world to do a movie about the holidays and Christmas and all this beautiful stuff. And it's like in the middle of the pandemic. Were there like Broadway nights where you all like got together and like sang or anything?
Kind of. We got to sing a little bit in the movie. We have like the Christmas carols that we do a couple nights, and we actually found ourselves playing a lot of games. We would do like cards and like Rummy Cube and cribbage, and that was joyful. We had movie nights too. You know, it was sweet.
Who was the best at the games? Was there someone who'd always win?
Is it bad if I say myself?
No, totally.
No, I don't know. I'm pretty competitive. I love games.
Yeah.
Like it was probably between like me and Tom McGowan, who plays my dad in the movie. We would play cribbage a lot. And Geraldine, she also is very competitive. And a lot of the guys like Aaron and our director Dustin went golfing usually on the weekends, and I don't know. It was so fun. It felt like summer camp, except we're making this Christmas movie. You know, it was really a lovely, lovely time with the best people.
So this is your third Hallmark film, and this is the first role you play of Anna, who isn't a singer, but you and Aaron get to sing an incredible arrangement of Winter Wonderland.
Yeah, we do.
All right. So how did that happen?
That was actually like my suggestion. We were a couple days from wrapping, and I had talked to Aaron. I was like, we should sing a song for the credits or something. And he was on board. So I brought it up to our director, and he's like, that's a great idea. And I emailed one of the heads of the New York office, the Hallmark office in New York, because I know her now. And I was like, we would love to do this. Like, is there a way? And she was like, actually, a credit song is already chosen, but maybe you could do an opening number. And they pitched us a couple songs. I talked to Aaron about it. We came to a conclusion, and then they wrote an arrangement for us, and we got to go into a studio and record it. But like, I kind of planted the seed. I like sent the email, and I was like, we need to make this happen. And then I was like, we should make a music video in the studio to help promote. And they were like, that's such a great idea. And so my husband, Nate, as you know, we talked about, videographer and photographer, got to come to the studio because he was in the quarantine bubble, and he recorded us recording the song at the studio, and they created this really cute music video to help promote. And then now the song is available on iTunes and Spotify for download and for listening. So it's just, again, so special to get to have that, especially with Aaron.
I love this. You put your producer's hat on. This came through at the last minute.
Yep.
Anybody, just go to the hallmarkchannel.com. The video is there. The song is there. It is exquisite, and it's beautiful in the film. I just love that you were able to do that. It was all last minute, too.
Yeah, totally. Me too. I'm so glad it all like came through and it all happened. And ended up being a really fun, like little marketing, like ploy for the show too, because our characters don't really sing. We're very pedestrian Christmas Carol moments. But it was cool to get to actually underscore the opening sequence of the movie, even though our characters aren't singing. It's great.
So I can't wait to watch it again. It's going to be my favorite holiday movie between now and December 25th.
Oh,
just
Richard,
so you know.
Thank you sweet thing. Thank you so much. Hallmark was super happy with the ratings. It's the number one Hallmark movie of the year so far, and I know there's still a lot to come. But we had like over 4.2 million unique viewers, is what they were saying, household views. I was
wild.
like, oh, so. People are excited for the joy. Exactly. They need it right now.
And it's all the Broadway fans that can't get it on stage. They'll say, we'll watch our favorite peeps on Hallmark.
On Hallmark Channel. And, Jeremy Jordan had a movie that aired the following night. Did you watch his?
Oh, I'm obsessed with, I love Jeremy too. So it's like my Bonnie and Clyde's. It's like, so.
Exactly.
No, but I love that Hallmark uses all these incredible Broadway talents.
I'm thrilled that they're also starting to tap into that talent pool, and especially with ours, like we shot in Connecticut, so I think they were looking for local East Coast people, and there's all of these New York actors out of work right now. So
well, I love it. Hallmark thinks outside of the box, but I looked at all these titles. It's all our favorites in there, so I'm thrilled for all of you. I'm thrilled for Jeremy. You also did, was it 2 virtual Airbnb concerts for your Broadway Princess party?
Yeah, we did. So Airbnb started this whole
love it.
experience sector of their kind of with their followers and stuff. And they approached us, and we did a princess party concert at Susan Egan's home in Nashville. We all flew down there in quarantine together, got tested, and got to do 2 virtual live concerts through the Airbnb platform, which was also very special to get to reunite and sing again from a living room, but totally awesome.
Now, who was in the concert?
It was me and Susan Egan, Broadway's original Belle in Beauty and the Beast, and Courtney Reed, who was Jasmine in Aladdin, and our fairy godfairy music director, Benjamin Ravhala, and our Prince Charming, Adam J. Levy. And yeah, it's super fun. We do this princess concert featuring all songs from your favorite Broadway and Disney and animation princesses.
Because I've seen them. They're so great. Courtney is one of our judges for our next on stage. I'm obsessed with her. You know, I'm obsessed with Susan Egan too. I love my Susan Egan and everybody else connected to this. It must be so much fun that you had the idea with Benjamin to put this whole thing together. What a brilliant idea. Again, putting your producer's hat on of trying to figure out how to make content.
Yeah, that's exactly it. This Broadway Princess Party idea launched over 5 years ago now. We started at 54 Below, actually, in New York City. And it was wildly popular that we thought about taking it kind of to the next level. And we got Susan on board, who was kind of the brainchild of helping us learn how to expand it beyond New York City. We started an official LLC, and we've been on tour for like 2 years. This would have been kind of the third year. We had tons of concerts canceled this year, unfortunately. But we are still like in the works for scheduling stuff for next year, and actually on the brink of a very exciting partnership that we're about to launch next spring. You will all know soon.
I know you can't announce that, but I keep hearing about this beautiful partnership, but we're thrilled for that too. Whatever happens with this, I mean, it's just the perfect thing.
Thank you. It's been an awesome gift, and just, again, so fun to get to do between shows and then developing. You're right. Being on the other side, being on the kind of creative business side has been a really awesome learning experience.
But I think a lot of people, you know, talking to everybody during this pandemic, I mean, actors never know where your next job is coming from anyway. So during this, they were like, okay, maybe I can turn my closet into, you know, where I do my voiceover work, or you know, whatever. It's like, have you turned part of your house over into, like, we do self-tapes here?
Well, I come down here, I moved to this plant down here to have something exciting against the wall, you know, to just not have a bare wall. I have my studio light here. And then we've done, I did this like virtual musical, Killer Party, and we can talk about that too, but we had to audio record like tracks. I did that upstairs in the guest room. I closed the door and like put blankets on. We have a bunk bed room. So I like put blankets in the bunk bed and like got in the bunk bed and recorded. And like, it was, yes, it's wild. We're all like figuring out how to do that. Yeah.
Because I had Carolee Carmelo on. What was a Killer Party like? What was it like doing that? And Nate did the camera work, right?
He did do a lot of the camera work for us. Yes. So this is a brand new musical that was written amidst quarantine, and in 9 episodes it's released, like 9 like 10, 12-minute episodes. And it was wild. I'm associate producer on that as well, actually. I have a little associate producer credit because Jason Howland, who was kind of the brainchild behind it, I was one of his first phone calls, and he was like, would you be willing to do this? Like, should we do this? And I was like, yes, we should do it. Let me help you. How can I help? So I got to be in kind of on a little bit of the creative side of that too, but that was crazy. Like I got to act in it, but also like had to be half camera person, like half costumer, half doing my own hair, makeup, continuity, lighting. It's a lot. It's a lot. Usually there's separate people for all of those jobs, and we had to try to do it ourselves. But the editors were absolutely brilliant in piecing the whole thing together and making it actually like super like continuous. Is that a word?
It's a new word. I love it.
Great. Yeah. And I was so impressed with how it all actually turned out. And it's so funny. And the thing is, you just know that all of these actors are just sitting at their houses in quarantine. Again, creating. And I was lucky enough to be quarantined with my friend Jared Spector and his wife Kelly Barrett. They're dear, dear friends of ours. They came to our house here for a weekend. It all started weekend, and then Broadway. It was the weekend like Broadway shut down. We were like, you should just stay for a little longer. Like, don't go back to the city. And literally 108 days later, we were also quarantined together. We were here all of the first 3 months of quarantine together. So Jared and I got to shoot it together, which was really fun.
I see a reality series in there, the 4 of you together.
Totally. It was. We started cooking every night. Like we took photos of our day. We were like, we should start like a COVID cookbook. We started getting super creative. We wrote a couple songs and arrangements of things. We did Killer Party. Kelly was writing a book during the time. Like, yeah, it was definitely, it felt like a little like artist hub here in Connecticut.
It must have been. Beth Level was here 2 weeks ago, and Beth She is the best. You know, everyone's finding their little corners of their home to put together their little, oh, this is where I am. She says they just moved, she and Adam had just moved into their new house. She says, Richard, to the left is hoarders, to the right is hoarders. It's boxes we have, you know, it's like everyone has their little area, but they're like, don't look to the left and don't look to the right.
Right. Totally. That's so funny. I need to check in with Beth. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh my gosh, she is the best. She's so happy and everything. You know, everyone's doing their thing. They're just same thing. You know, everyone's doing their thing. You know, Broadway debuts are so special. There were so many people who were supposed to make them this spring, and then the pandemic hit. And I hope when the theater comes back bigger and better than ever, they'll be given that opportunity. Amen. They're very special. Yours was a big one because your Broadway debut came out of a reality show where you and I had this conversation. I said, you could do anything, Laura, because I said you auditioned for millions of people a week. Not only did you audition for just a casting director or a director, you auditioned for millions of votes. So it's like Grease was yours. What do you remember about that opening night? Like you're going to Broadway, you and Max and everybody else. I was on the carpet with you, but what do you remember from that night of Grease?
Yeah, it was a dream come true. I wanted to be on Broadway since I was 5 years old. Never guessed I would get there via a TV reality show. However, I know that was where I was supposed to be while I was doing it. And it was a thrill. It was overwhelming. It was unknown. I mean, Max and I were 21. So it was a lot. But honestly, that's part of my story. You know what I mean? Like you said, it like auditioning in front of millions of people week after week on live television. A lot of people were like, oh, you got handed this, you know, this opportunity. And I was like, it was hard. Like it was a lot of pressure. And it was, even though it all happened in, 3 months of time instead of potentially 3 years that someone might have to audition before they finally book their first thing. Like it was a very unique experience in that way, but nothing can prepare you for like what a TV reality show and that type of exposure / stress / anxiety can bring on. But I'm so grateful that door opened and that it worked out. It was so fun to get to do that with Max and Kathleen Marshall, our amazing director choreographer, who was a judge on the show. So kind of saw us from, zero to hero throughout the process and believed in us, wholeheartedly. But I remember that opening, like taking my bow on opening night. My dream came true. Like it's amazing. My heart goes out to all the people that were meant to make their debuts, during this COVID time.
They'll be back. Like I said, then South Pacific, you made Nellie Forbush your own. I mean, entering the world of Rodgers and Hammerstein for the first time on Broadway, that must have been magical for you.
That was like the legitimizing moment. Like Grease was like, oh my gosh, my dream came true. I'm a baby and I'm going to do the best I can. Yeah. And then I went through a series of 4 auditions / callbacks for South Pacific. So it was kind of a similar thing, like just jumping through all of the hoops. We got, day after day, going like, what do you need? What do you want? And so I did feel like I still earned it. However, I'm just so grateful that Bart Scher, the director, saw something in me that enabled him to be able to trust me with that role. I think those were huge shoes to fill. I was 23 at the time, succeeding Tony nominee Kelly O'Hara in this well-respected role. And at my final callback, I got to read with Paolo. They called Paolo in, and I remember Bart called me and he said, we didn't think we would go with someone this young, and we just want to make sure that it works. Can you come in one more time and read with Paolo? And Paolo was so gracious, and he didn't have to be gracious. You know what I mean? Like he was doing the show every night. He had just won the Tony Award, and here I am, this baby walking in, and he was just so lovely. And Kelly was so lovely. I got to trail her a few nights, and she was pregnant, so she was excited, and she had a perfect reason to be leaving the show, and I was just so grateful for that opportunity, because I feel like I grew up. I became a woman during my time there, more so than with Grease was like the dream come true moment, and South Pacific was like I get it, cool. Like it was really, really special.
That's great. And then of course entered the world of Kathleen Marshall all over again with Anything Goes. What was it like living in the world of Cole Porter? Was it like being in an MGM musical? I used to watch your musical numbers. I said, she looks like she could be on, lot 14 at MGM doing those numbers.
That's actually exactly what it felt like. It's a really good
Yeah.
analogy. And those My Beautiful Dresses and those classic songs. Cole Porter's a genius, singing those lyrics every night and getting to work with Sutton Foster and Joel Grey and Jessica Walter, Adam Godley, like an amazing cast. Colin Donnell. It was champagne every night.
I like that. MGM and champagne. But that was the look of that show. I'd watched that and I said, this could be put onto a lot somewhere and then just filmed and put on a big screen somewhere. Just what Kathleen did with all of you and what you did now. Just really beautiful.
Thank you.
Really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it felt like a movie musical for sure.
Bonnie and Clyde's one of my favorite musicals. I don't know why that did not find an audience. To this day, I've had conversations with Jeremy and Frank and Don Black, everybody involved in the show. I was obsessed with this musical, as you know. You were all so glorious. It must have been great for you to create a brand new role that was created for you and with you.
Absolutely. Bonnie was a part of my life for 3.5 years, from early workshops to 2 out-of-town tryouts before finally coming to Broadway. And I felt like I got to do it a long time, even though it only lasted 2 months on Broadway. And the cast and crew, like the whole team is very close because of that. But I feel like the cast album has allowed the show to live on in ways that we never thought possible. Getting to create a role and feel like the role was morphed and formulated around who I was and the voice I had and what I brought to the role was beyond. That's every actor's dream, for sure.
What was it like sharing the stage with Jeremy Jordan?
It was fantastic. We got off like immediately. Like he didn't do the first out of town.
Yeah.
And so he joined for the second out of town in Florida. And it was I got to be at his audition. It was crystal clear that he was the one. And our birthdays are a day apart. So we're both Scorpios coming up here in November. And we got along just super easily, had just this level of kind of trust. It was very easy to work with him, which I was very grateful for because the show is very intimate. And so to be able to, trust someone in that way and feel really taken care of and safe was lovely. And we laughed a lot. We got super close and we shared a car out of town, and the show happened out of town over our birthdays. It happened in the fall, and then the following fall we came to Broadway. So we celebrated like Halloween and our birthdays and Thanksgiving and Christmas together, 2 years in a row, getting to do the show. So it was great. He's fantastic. One of my favorite voices ever. I'm like, Jared, you can sing to me. We've had a standing Zoom every Sunday night since the pandemic began. So I get to check in with Jeremy weekly.
Well, I had him and his beautiful wife on a few weeks ago. He's another one of my favorites, So it's like, I just love that you all know each other. I mean, she was on the Grease reality show to Ashley. And
Ashley before I knew Jeremy.
It's crazy, right?
Totally. Smallest world for sure.
And then you enter the world of Rodgers and Hammerstein all over again with that beautifully glorious production of Cinderella. Again, I mean, we were all brought up with, I used to watch the Julie Andrews on VHS, and then I was brought up with Leslie Ann Warren in color, and then it's like to watch you do your magic up there. I mean, how wonderful was that show to do, and just like living in that world and like that role.
It was completely magical. Like, I didn't realize when I was doing it that Cinderella was going to be like a moment. You know what I mean? I feel like now, like that's my defining role. Like that's what people are going to remember me by if I never do anything again, And I didn't know that at the time. I feel like Cinderella was like so in my wheelhouse. Bonnie was cool because it was like dark and different for me. And even with Bandstand, I was like, oh, this is going to be, people are going to see me in a new way here. And, maybe they did, but that didn't really take off the way we had all kind of thought. And so Cinderella kind of has become just more iconic in my career, I think, than I expected it to or knew it would at the time. And again, we just had the most joyful time doing that show. I've never laughed more doing any show than I have in that one, and getting to work with Victoria Clark, who I saw in Light in the Piazza with Kelly O'Hara, like when I was in high school. I've looked up to Vicky for years, and Santino and I are still dear, dear friends. We've gone on to do a lot of work since then together. We have a couple duet concerts that we've done. And I can't wait to work with Santino again someday too.
I love him because he's got a very dry, wicked sense of humor.
Yeah.
I love him. And you never think it's going to come out of him that way, do you?
No, and yet he's just so brilliant and smart. Yeah. And I remember Ted Chapin from Rodgers and Hammerstein, when we got cast, he was like, I was worried because Santino's so like, he's so like actor smart. Like he went to acting school, and like I was like, I was like, it might be hard because I dropped out of school and I'm very like instinctual and like I know how to feel things, but I'm not like a trained actor in that sense, the way like Santino is. And I was like, I hope we can work okay together. Am I going to feel? And I feel like we balanced each other actually so beautifully. Like he was able to kind of ground me, but then I was able to like play with him a little bit. And it was a good match.
Yeah. Was there a defining moment for you when you said, I want to be a performer and try to make a living at this? Was there a defining moment?
What I usually say is that I did a production of The Wizard of Oz when I was in second grade. I played a munchkin. I had no lines. I was like random munchkin number like 49. And I remember looking up to Dorothy and being like, I want to do that someday. Like, I like her. I want to, either play that role or lead a show or something. And I grew up going to a lot of theater and like acting musicals out in my living room. I sang like Castle on a Cloud from Les Mis at my kindergarten talent show. So it's always been a part of me. But I think like looking up to Dorothy that was kind of like I want to do this. I don't remember ever wanting to do anything else. When I was little, it was still like, I want to be on Broadway someday. Yeah. That was the goal.
Did you always feel like when you were younger that you were growing up, like looking for that? It's like, I want to grow up and be something else. I want to be like Dorothy, or like you said, lead a show or be in a show.
Yeah, I loved singing and dancing and acting, and musical theater was where I could do them all. And I didn't have to choose. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Tell stories and use those gifts that I really loved and gravitated towards.
Yeah. You and I have done many Q&As for organizations and companies and everything else. And because you do everything, you act, sing, and dance so beautifully, you all make it seem so effortless. What was the hardest of those three that you had to work on the hardest?
Oh, great question. I feel like singing has always come very naturally for me. I took voice lessons growing up, but I haven't taken voice now like for years. I sing every day, and I was kind of born with that gift. But I used to get the most nervous when I sang, because singing I feel like is the most vulnerable for some reason. So I had to gain confidence in that respect with my voice. And then dancing, I danced for like 13 years. So that was a lot of time and of like hard wise and training. That's something you can't just do automatically. So I'm grateful that I had at least the background in that. And I feel like acting was probably my weakest thing because I'm least trained in it. So I feel like now an actor is constantly learning. We're always students of our craft. And so I feel like now like acting is the one that I would want to pursue and work harder at getting better at, because I feel like that's probably my weakest.
See, it's funny you say that. I see you on the same level as everything. Acting is reacting to something, and it's all about natural instincts. I think just do what you've learned your craft by doing and working with the best.
That's it. That's what I say, because I only went to college for a year. So I think that's why I feel like I'm not like book smart. I'm not like trained in it as I am with singing and dancing. So I feel like less, I guess, confident, like I have less tools in my tool belt, but I've learned by doing, and I've learned by watching and working with some really incredible people for sure.
But that's what the great ones do anyway. When you speak to so many people who have made it in their business, either on screen, on stage, or television, it's like a lot of them have said, I've never taken an acting class. I've just done by working and learning and listening. And it's like you can have your tools, which you have, but it's like, I think you just learn by instinct. You do. When I watch you, that's why it's so great to watch you on TV and watch you on film, because a lot of stage people can't do that.
Well, I still feel like I have a lot to learn in that realm, and Hallmark has been a very safe and encouraging place to get to do that, because the stage has always been my home, and I've started to have a little more TV film work, but it's only really been in the last like 3 to 4 years, honestly. So I feel like I'm now starting to get more confident and comfortable in that realm as well, and that's exciting. It's fun.
Because you are, on film and TV, you just have to be you. You're not presenting it to the third balcony. It's just be you having a conversation. But
yes, and it's a lot harder than it looks, because especially having been on stage for so many years, I'm like, oh, you're learning. Oh, you can just talk normal. You don't have to move very much. Like, yeah, you're right. its own thing, acting for TV film than acting for stage. And
Jonathan Groff told me, I forget, it was one of his first big films that he got cast, and he said, I was so nervous. He said, and I'm coming out of an airplane. It's the Woodstock, taking Woodstock or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, for Ang Lee. And he said, I get out, I have to start my scene. And then Ang Lee kept saying cut, and he'd say less. And John was like, I'm not doing anything. He said less, do less. But he was like, that's how he learned. But he's like, you just have a conversation, just be. The camera will pick up, as long as you're seeing it or thinking it behind your eyes. But a lot of people I've talked to said the same thing. They're like, you want to put a performance out, but you don't have to. You just have to believe in it and be.
You just be. That is so good. Trust that you were cast for a reason, and you just being is absolutely enough, is more than enough.
Yeah.
I think what's weird with the biggest difference for me between doing stage and like TV stuff is that there's no rehearsal. And I feel like as actors, I walk on set for a TV film thing and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like we always are like, no one knows what they're doing because you don't have rehearsal. For theater. It's like you get a whole month in the room before anyone ever sees it. And you've discussed subtext and backstories and you've developed, trust with your co-star. And this is like, hi, nice to meet you. The first time I'm ever saying lines out loud, the camera's rolling. And so getting used to that feeling, I think was the hardest thing, which is learning to trust and just be.
It's funny. Stockard Channing told me when she went in for The West Wing, they said it's going to be one episode. You're going to play the president's wife, Martin Sheen. She got there. It was a big party scene. And she said, hey, Martin, I'm Stockard. She goes, I'm playing your wife. You're my husband or whatever else. And they just went for it. And then I think she was on the show for I don't know how many numerous seasons. But
oh my gosh.
But she said, we just met. Hello, let's do our scene. And then the rest is history. It's like, you do your stuff. And a lot of actors for film don't want to do anything until the cameras roll.
There you go.
And all the theater people that I've talked to said, oh my God, Richie, I'm sitting in my trailer pacing. Like, I haven't really met this person. I have to go out there. And they say, we're going to do this in 3 takes. And you get out there and you do. But it's like, you don't have that normal training or those normal rehearsals you have for the theater.
Right. The process is so different. You just have to learn to fly by the seat of your pants and be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
But you are so good at it, believe me, watching all your films and everything else you've done on TV. You got it.
Well, what was so lucky with One Royal Holiday is that, it was Aaron and Vicky and like Broadway friends. I was like, you guys, how lucky are we? We get to play together and make a movie.
We play dress up. You're playing the prince. You're playing the queen. I'm playing Anna. That's great. We didn't talk about Bandstand. Again, another musical I fell in love with. Talk about just so beautifully conceived, the choreography off the map, everything about that show, everybody's performance, including yours. Again, a role you were able to create from scratch.
Thank you.
The role of Julia, yeah.
Bandstand was so special. Probably the most fulfilling and rewarding show I've been. I think because it was such a powerful message. It was really important to the entire cast to tell the story of our soldiers who have served our country and the traumas that they deal with and that their families deal with and potentially lost. Like I played a war widow, and tell that story truthfully, which I think is not told very often, especially on stage. And so the cause became very close to all of our hearts and we felt like we were part of something bigger than ourselves. We weren't just doing something entertaining. We were doing something meaningful, and people were coming and getting healed and being affected and changed because of what we were doing on stage. And it was super special for sure.
Yeah. One of my final questions is, you have so many beautiful albums. You have your 2 sensational solo albums, Dream a Little Dream, which was live from the Carlisle. I think the night I was there, Jeremy Jordan was your guest star, one of the best shows I've ever seen at the Carlisle, just so you know. And If I Tell You, the songs of Maury Yeston, which I love, these new arrangements and everything else you've done in that. What do you love the most about recording and doing live concerts? Because you do live concerts in small venues, and then you do them in huge concert halls around the world with, orchestras. I mean, what do you love the most about recording and live concerts?
Yeah, I mean, I love them both. I've grown to love them both. I used to be scared of recording studios, like I used to be scared of TV film stuff. And then the more I started recording, the more I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. You get to do things over. You get to hear reverb. You get to and now I know what I want in a studio, and I love recording songs in a studio. It's really, it's so fun. And then with like, I want to do more of that. I'm like, oh, I'm like, what can I have a couple album ideas. It's just always a combination of like timing and budget and all of that. And then as far as concert stuff, I have, again, loved branching into the whole concert genre of things. It's a perfect thing to do between shows, like these, TV film things. The Hallmark movie shoot in 3 weeks. So it's like a really quick commitment. And I've been, again, so grateful to have established a concert career, especially during this time. And I love it. I love singing with an orchestra. There is nothing like it. I welcome every single opportunity I get to sing with 60 pieces behind me. Like, hello, talk about, MGM movie musical. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. It's so special. And you get to dress up and wear a gown. And it's just, it's really lovely. And then the cabaret, the opposite side of that, the cabaret venue where it's an intimate space and people are right there and you're just welcome to my living room. Get to know me tonight. Again, I've grown in my confidence in this area. I was very scared for my first concert I did, and now I've done quite a bit of them, fortunately, and have just come to love and trust that arena as well.
Well, that will all be back before we know it. Finally, what are you looking forward to the most with your concert tonight?
Oh gosh, I hope people learn a little bit tonight. I think every actor has these stories, and these are the things that go on behind the scenes, the heartbreaks and the disappointments that happened on a career that looks, super successful. And I mean, has been, like I say in the concert too, like I've had some amazing opportunities, but little do you know, they have come at the expense of a lot of other heartbreaks and disappointments and difficult decisions, and that everything happens for a reason. And I hope you enjoy getting to hear things that could have happened or almost did. And instead of the things that I am more known for, that I tend to do in my concerts, I do the things from my career. This is the stuff purposely not from my career. So I hope you learn and that you're challenged and encouraged by it.
I love it. Okay, so it is tonight, Friday, November 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Laura Osnes at Radio Free Birdland. Tickets are available, like I said, at BroadwayWorld events, at Birdland, at Radio Free Birdland. Laura, I have known you since opening night of Grease, or actually in the rehearsal room of Grease.
Yes.
Going back all of that. And like I said, your husband's been so great to Preston's clients of taking photos. And I mean, I love you too, as everybody does.
I love you too, Richard. It's really, really great to chat with you. Thank you for, helping promote this concert. And I'm so glad you're doing well and hanging in there and still rocking life and sharing all.
That's what we do. Listen, everybody, until we see you next, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.